because I've been sort of every role in a transaction. So I've been a buyer, I've been a seller, I've been on boards directing the purchase or sale, and now I'm the guy in the middle. So I do know what it's like to, evaluate a company to consider buying. We are probably the smallest company in the world who has their name on a major arena.
We're going to find out how you get your name on an internationally recognized sporting venue. Today, I have Dara Shareef from Benchmark International to tell us a lot about what they do. We see their name all the time. We don't all know, are they hockey fans? Are they not? We're about to find out today. Welcome, Dara. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. So tell us a little bit, just basic, what is Benchmark International other than a really, really cool venue right now?
Yeah, the venue's certainly part of it. So we are a sell-side M&A firm, mergers and acquisition. We sell companies for folks. So if you own a business and you want to monetize your life's work, you can go about trying to do it on your own and have an outcome, or you can get a professional to do it. And typically the outcome is significantly better because this is all we do all day, every day. So we sell businesses for folks. We're sell-side M&A. We're adding some other value-added services as well. We have a taxation business we've added. I can talk about that as well. But the core business is selling companies for business owners.
And if you're selling those companies, do they have to be Lightning fans now?
It helps. It certainly helps. And we are, to address that quick question on the front end, we are incredible hockey fans. I grew up playing hockey. Our chairman is from Great Britain, but a huge Lightning fan. They approached us because we're so bought into what the Lightning are doing, what Mr. Vinnick did for this town. Mm-hmm. So, we are incredible hockey fans, and obviously now we are the biggest hockey fans in town.
That's absolutely fascinating. So yeah, you have to be the biggest hockey fans in town. I think you forgot our sweet tickets today, but you just drop those off anytime.
Yeah, I think they're in my other coat.
Other coat, right? Yeah, absolutely. So Dara, you've kind of sat in every chair of the deal through your career. So right now you're in a mergers and acquisitions role as a stakeholder, a shareholder in Benchmark, but that wasn't always the case. You kind of been on all sides of the deal. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your other experience?
Yeah, sure. I think that actually is the thing I bring in terms of value. Probably the only thing is I bring empathy, because I've been sort of every role in a transaction. So I've been a buyer, I've been a seller, I've been on boards directing the purchase or sale. And now I'm the guy in the middle. So I do know what it's like to, evaluate a company to consider buying. I know what it's like to invest in a company. I was a VC for 10 years. So I do know what it looks like. I do know how to think like a buyer and a seller. And I think that's really sort of the thing that I drive in terms of value is I can anticipate how a buyer's going to react to a problem. And I know how, when there is a problem, how a seller might react to it if it's not pitched appropriately. So that is my background.
And so over 250 company sales you've been a part of.
Correct.
And
yeah.
How does that feel when you get one of these deals closed? I mean, you've probably dealt with some really small deals and you probably dealt with some really big deals, and most of them are probably in the middle. Yep. But how does that feel to be like, man, we finally got it over the finish line?
It's a great question. I think I tend to be kind of transactional. We have to be, and on to the next one. The moment the wire hits for our client and for us is an incredible epiphany for me. It's like it is the realization of all that effort we put into it, and sometimes it's months, sometimes it's years. So I think the validation for me is that the work we do oftentimes is so impactful that the deal wouldn't happen without us. We put a deal team of 12 people on every deal, and we attack these deals in a way that really no one else in the lower middle market does. And we tend to be the procuring cause of getting a deal done, right? So we fill gaps for our clients. Our clients have lean teams. They always do. Even $100 million revenue companies, they don't have CFOs. If they do, they're really more glorified bookkeepers. You don't see a lot of like professionalized C-suites. You don't see controllers. They don't have the process because they don't really need them yet, right? And they haven't oriented their business to grow to some massive number. So we have to go in there and be one, translators, because buyers and sellers speak different languages. And the second thing we have to do is we have to fill gaps. So we have to go in there and help them build process, help them look at their books and records and make sure they're all set. So because of that, we're so central to getting the deal done. It's not just about, hey, we found a great buyer, let's hand it over to the lawyers. We're doing the heavy lifting. We're driving every aspect. We're solving the problems. When that happens, it's really gratifying.
So if I heard you correctly, you don't just list a business like you list a house. You don't fill out a form and have a realtor take care of it and it's listed tomorrow.
Right.
You might be in there much, much earlier, maybe even years before a business is ready for sale, because your team will actually clean it up, make it market presentable.
So we do spend time on the front end making sure we're pouring through the financials, pouring through the story. We do try to avoid fixing every problem. Frankly, as someone who was a buyer, I want to come in and buy something that I can apply some operating leverage to. So if it's perfectly clean, while the company will be great to operate as a lifestyle business, I can't really inject much other than capital into it. I can grow a top line revenue, that's great. I'm looking for things that I can just build process around and come in with some controls and really find some really quick accretion as a buyer. So we don't, and buyers often think that way. I'm not the only one who thinks that way. So we try not to fix every problem, and we do try to address things that are easy to address. But we spend time on the front end making sure we present the financials in a compelling way, understanding how to scrub the story to distill it down to what really matters, and then attack the market by building a bespoke buyer list. And that buyer list is going to have a couple hundred to start and may finish with a couple thousand on it. And we're going to contact every single one of them.
So that's a lot like selling your house. You don't necessarily need to put a fresh paint job on it because the new owner might want a different color. So why waste your time and capital on something that they're just going to redo anyways?
Well, the only thing I would say, yes, to some degree, but there are certain things you would do, and you would know this in the construction business, to attract that sort of visceral reaction. Right? When you walk up or you drive up to a house and it's dilapidated and the paint is peeling, you're like, I think I'm going to pass because what am I not seeing?
Yeah.
Right. So there is some of that to some degree, but we do want to make sure it really looks good and it's presentable. But our job isn't to fix every issue. Like, we have people who can do that, but our highest and best use is helping to sell businesses. Maybe we stand up a consulting business. We've talked about doing that as well, because we do have that ability, and we have certainly clients who could use that help. But we're not trying to put lipstick on a pig. We're also not trying to fix every problem. It's sort of in the middle.
That's incredible. So a lot of people don't realize that services like that exist, because if you fix some of these things, the valuation of the business could go up, or at least the time on market could go down.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think you look for easy wins, right? I mean, think of a company that has a single source supplier, right? We might come in and say, listen, these guys really have you, right? If they decide they want to up the price, what are your recourses? Right? Or frankly, if that single source supplier is overseas right now and Liberation Day hits, like, you're kind of out of luck, right? So, we talk about, hey, can you find another, a duplicate supplier so that no one has leverage over you? We've seen this where, like, they have in the contract with that supplier a right of first refusal. So that supplier actually has the ability to buy you if you get an offer. And that supplier might just say, let me think about it, right? And they have you, right?
Yeah.
They have you. And that sort of relationship is toxic. So, we might say, hey, go pursue other, vendor relationships, and so you're not so subject to the whims of a single person in your supply chain. So
you have worked all over. You came from Connecticut, but in about, 2015, about 11 years ago, you decided Tampa's going to be home. That, when I see somebody of your level of experience in business, mergers and acquisitions, tax, procurement, and you decide to make this your home, that's pretty impressive. That says you see this market, this economy is unique. So tell us about your decision to move down here. And
yeah, no, it's a great story. So I think it's a good story. Hopefully you do too, and the audience does, and my daughter over there, I think, does. So my wife and I were down here in, I think it was late December of 14 into 15 January. And we'd owned, I think, 3 condos down here, just invested in stuff just to be down here. Her brother lives down here, and we were vacationing, and it was 72 degrees and glorious in St. Petersburg. And I looked at the temperature, and up north it was -2. And folks here probably can't fathom what that is, but actually, when you get below 0, there are other numbers it goes to, and it sucks progressively more. Each degree is just way worse, right? So we just looked at each other and said, why are we going home? And neither of us could answer that question. So we decided at that moment we were going to get here by our oldest daughter's birthday, which is in March. So we had about 2.5 months to get it done, which meant getting back home, getting the house ready, working on every single room in the house, like redoing everything, getting it on the market, finding jobs, and then getting ourselves down south. And we got it on the market, did that, applied to jobs. I took a job, Kim took a job, and we're driving down here, signed the contract on the way down to sell our house. And we got here on the 16th of March. I started on St. Patrick's Day. So we beat it by over a week. So yeah, we made it. It was an ambitious goal, but we made it happen.
That's incredible. You just saw the environment, you saw the community, and you're like, we have to be here.
It was the lifestyle. I mean, for us, it was, we've been working really, really hard. We are hard workers. We put a lot of hours in. And we wanted to enjoy our life as well. 100-hour work weeks in Tampa feel, and I don't do that anymore, but 100-hour work weeks in Tampa feel better than a 100-hour work week in New York. It just feels different. And we wanted to make sure we started living our life while we were still young enough to enjoy it and not wait till retirement to start having a good time. So, I was at kid birthday parties with my daughters, and I'd be weeping in the corner at a Chuck E. Cheese. I come down here, and there's like signature cocktails for the parents at a pool party. It's like, well, this is awesome. So it wasn't a very hard sell for us. We've leaned in. We love it down here.
So what I'm hearing is, if somebody in New York's listening and wants to sell their business and move to the paradise of Florida, they should call you.
They should call me. I can empathize, and I know how to talk to those folks.
So before you got into this, you kind of you did something unusual. You did half the websites for the U.S. Senate.
We did, and I did very little of that work. So just so you know, the company's GSL Solutions, and yeah, it's a CMS. They build the websites for school districts and for a number of U.S. senators, and it's a high-end product. They do a great job, and I was the chief operating officer, helping sort of raise some capital and build the profile a little bit. But it's a great company, and it's a thankless task to work in government, state government, federal government, but they do a terrific job.
What did that teach you in the private sector? Because you were interacting, again, you just said state and federal government, and I bet that experience has helped you in the private sector at some point.
It has. I think it's a great question. I hadn't thought of that one before. So I would say the speed to make decisions is very different in the public and the private sector, and I think it did help me understand, what the rubric was to make a decision, and I think it helped me sort of figure out, how do you isolate variables? How do you cut waste out of a process? Because I think you have to say the right thing at the right time to lubricate that channel, get them to make a decision. In the federal government, it's really hard. It's really, really hard. And sometimes you fail just because of the passage of time. And it got me like laser focused on like keeping the ball moving in a sales cycle, like really pushing constantly, because sometimes things just die because they lack momentum, not because of a decision. I saw that a lot working with the federal government.
Interesting. You've been a fund manager, a COO. Obviously, you've raised capital.
Yeah.
You've even invested your own money into real estate. Are there any of those positions where you're just shocked that you ever held or never thought that you would be a part of?
Oh, wow. Interesting. Holding on to some of the real estate that we have for so long, I wouldn't have anticipated that. I didn't feel like those were lifelong holdings, but I think the purpose of the holdings has changed over time. So initially it was, hey, we saw incredible opportunity down in Florida, right? And it was because of, I hate to say this, but there was a financial collapse, and we were in a position to actually invest in the Florida at that time when we did. Someone had to, so I don't feel that bad about it, but I didn't expect that we were to hold these properties for as long as we have, and I don't see us getting rid of them anytime soon. We held on to a property in New York for way longer than I thought we should, but we did, and I think the reasons kind of changed from sort of pure investment to, hey, like maybe the girls will want to be living in some of these places eventually. Let's hold on to them while they're cash flowing in a lovely way now, so it's not like I'm doing a service to the world by keeping them, but the reasoning behind the initial investment, that thesis, has evolved over time.
So you've started explaining some of this knowledge in a new podcast, right? Tell us about that podcast.
Yeah, it's great. Well, I appreciate that, first of all. Thank you for plugging the podcast. It's called Closing Remarks, and, Mark, benchmark, and closing because we close deals, right? The idea is that this channel, this group of folks who are small and medium-sized business owners in the United States really don't have a resource that will educate them on what this process really looks like. And the language of M&A is so esoteric. It's intentional. It's like it's been built so that people don't understand it, so that the guys who are in the club understand it and and can speak in front of people without them knowing, right? And I think the purpose is to demystify this language, to teach them what it actually means, and to educate them, and not just the owners but their spouses. No one talks to these people, and then it's time to go pick somebody to go to market with, and you're just ceding control of your life's work to someone that you just met who maybe you don't trust because they don't speak your language. So that's the idea: is let's educate this incredible swath of our country that really employs 90+% of people in this country. Let's teach them what we're doing here and why it's so important, and that we hear them. And it isn't just like us talking. Really, it's like talking to them through the guest. So I had Andrew Wright on yesterday. He's an incredibly eloquent speaker and a great investor, and he spoke about these great lessons. And I'm talking to the audience through him. We had Derek Brooks on, and some really some great folks that are coming on. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks you'll see. And it really is about educating a channel that's been largely ignored.
That's incredible. So you taught college students as well. How did teaching them influence your style as being a podcast host and interviewer?
Oh, that's interesting. I guess I hadn't thought of that. I was a professor like 15 years ago, and that's a long time ago. I was a very different guy back then. I was doing a lot of sort of guest lecturing and speaking and all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of starting doing that again. So maybe I wasn't that different of a guy. It's interesting. These are folks who ostensibly paid money to be in that lecture hall, and hopefully they're engaged and they're at a time in their life where their synapses are firing, and they're still really able to absorb knowledge in a way that you folks maybe of my age are less capable of doing. Hopefully we get more out of what we have than those young guys do. But I think maybe that's the big difference, is that sort of like the venue. Right, so you go to college and hopefully you're there to learn and absorb and just get a little smarter every day. I like to think of myself as a lifelong learner. I do want to learn something new every day. So my kids teach me stuff all the time. I would say not everyone's wired that way. So trying to educate a channel that maybe doesn't know that they need the education, and how valuable it could be, and also like just the struggle of learning things that anew when you're 60 years old. I'm 53. It's not as easy as it was 25, 30 years ago. So trying to get through to folks and say, hey, this is a journey here. Let's get you there, baby steps. Let's just a little bite size. And that's what we're doing. We're clipping these things up and just trying to send these lessons out to folks. And hopefully over time they start to dig in. But that's the hope. So I think that's the biggest difference is like, just where you are in your own sort of development in terms of how your cognition works.
A lot of what you do does revolve around community intention. And not a lot of people know that your partnership with the arena came with a gift, essentially, to the Tampa Bay nonprofit community. Sure. Can you tell us about that? Because a lot of people, they ignore that byline.
Yep. No, of course. No, that's a big part of it. So when we decided to make this investment into the Vinix Sports Group, into the arena, Benchmark International Arena, and also into this community, we wanted to make sure we were aligned with our future partner. And VSG is the best organization in sports. We thought that before. We know that as a fact now. They're an incredible group of folks led by Mr. Vinnick, and now Doug and his team at Blue Owl are the majority owners. And we sort of rallied around these core principles in terms of philanthropy, education, and hunger, and healthcare. These are our pillars, and we all believe in these things. So all of us owners at Benchmark, all the folks at VSG, we all believe in these, and it's about community, about investing into this community. And we've picked a number of incredible organizations to donate our money and also our time. I think that's the thing that people forget is once you reach a certain level in your career, your time is probably more valuable than your money. And this is what I tell business owners: like, the time to sell your business is when your money is less valuable than your time. There is that point. And I'm getting to that point, frankly, where my time is more valuable than my money. Probably not quite there yet, but I'm pretty close. And so, donating our time is also a big part of it, because we believe in these organizations. We believe in this town. That's why we made this incredible investment. We are probably the smallest company in the world who has their name on a major arena. Let that sink in. We are probably the smallest company in the world that has their name on a major arena. We believe in this community. We believe in that group. And we think it's going to be really, really impactful and help drive the future of Tampa. Mr. Vinnick was in a room with Derek Brooks on the podcast. He sketched out what the future was going to look like. And he's like, that arena there, that's the center of it. And Derek's looking down, and it's almost like you're seeing pastures. It was that long ago. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, but that was the picture he painted. And if you look at it today, it's insane what he's created. Not just with his vision, but with his checkbook. He leaned in. I think the amount of money he put into this region starts with a B. And that's incredible, right? So, that's why we lean in the way we do, because we believe in this town. We believe in that organization. And we think that we want to make sure people are aware that, hey, we're a global company. We're headquartered here in Tampa. No one knew that. And now they know it.
Now they know it. So, talking about Tampa, I've seen this come a long way in 25 plus years that I've been here. And I actually grew up in Florida. So just over in Lakeland, not far from where we're at today. Real estate, there's major companies like yours that are headquartered here or have decided to move their headquarters here. Yeah. We have seen education standards, research standards, military infrastructure, all here in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
What are other people in the country not seeing about Tampa Bay? Because there's a lot of people that have figured out it's a little gym and you better get down here while it's available.
I think they are starting to see it. I mean, we've seen a migration here to this region that's almost unmatched. I mean, you hear about what happened in Austin to some degree. It's happening here. It's been happening. It's happening in Tampa. It's happening in Miami. Some incredible financial institutions have come down here. I mean, Dynasty is here now. Kathy Wood brought ARC down here from New York City, and they're putting their money to work as well. They're putting their time and their money to work. So I think they're starting to see it. A lot of folks are saying, can we have them see it less? Because there are folks who are invading, and it feels invasive. But that's called progress. I mean, that is called progress. And when you have the best, some of the best resources in the world, you have a really favorable tax policy here in the state. You have the best airport in the country. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to fall in love with this region. And, spending your Saturdays going to the beach, going on the bike trail, or going downtown to St. Pete, or going over to Water Street, I'll tell you, it beats a lot of areas of the country. And the winters, pretty incredible, right? So I think, I think we were fighting inertia forever, like St. Pete especially, where I live, and I love St. Petersburg. My daughters love St. Petersburg. My wife does. It was known as a place you go to die. Let's just say it out loud. People came here to retire and ultimately die, and that's not what it is now. It's a vibrant town. I almost want to say that in hush-hush, because we have a lot of folks realizing what an incredible gem St. Petersburg is. Tampa is too. There's just so much here to love. And I do think that the world is seeing it. And we've got some really good folks who are sort of in leadership. The one concern I have, and Andrew Wright yesterday mentioned this to me on my podcast, and I totally agree, is that we have to get out of our silos. And, the EDCs have to play nice with each other. Bamitra Simmons is doing an incredible job sort of coalescing, but we need to have like a unified force here to say, hey, a rising tide lifts all boats. And if what's good for St. Pete is good for Tampa, because you might work in St. Pete, but you live in Tampa, or vice versa. I'm vice versa for me. I work in Tampa and live in St. Pete. So I come to town, I create some economic development in both regions. So I think we need to figure out a way to work together in that way. But we have all the ingredients here to be an absolute monster.
That is an excellent perspective of Tampa. Okay, Dara, you finished all the hard questions, and they didn't even seem very difficult to you. You just got it out of the box. Well, speaking of getting out of the box, I have Tommy's Toolbox, because that's the name of the show.
Yeah, it is.
Right? So we have some questions in here. I don't even know what's in this box. All right. So you're going to pick a question out of the box, just a little piece of paper, and you're going to hand it to me, and I'm going to ask you
Okay.
that question. You think you can handle that?
I think I can handle it.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
A lot of pressure. Can I grab the condensed milk? No.
No. Well, that's trade secret.
Okay. Well, not anymore.
Behind the magic.
There you go. Let's see what we got.
All right. Let's see. Oh, this hits close to home, right? If your life were a home renovation show, what would the episode be called?
Oh, wow. I think it'd be a multi-part series, like a mini series. I think one would be cluster, because we always have too many things going on. Right now we're planning a trip to Asia for my oldest daughter's high school graduation. We're meeting in Tallahassee. Kim's up north and I'm here, and we're gonna meet in Tallahassee for a couple of days, and then so at times it's a cluster. And at times it's like poetry in motion, like, when we're really, getting into a groove, and, I get up at 5 a.m. and work out and wake people up and go to the gym. There's so many things that are happening simultaneously. And when we're doing it well, it does feel like it's poetry in motion. So I would say it'd have to be a multi-part series. But there's always like this harmony. I think we're all sort of pulling the rope in the same direction. There's incredible, passion and love for the family. So some version of all of that would be my answer.
I love it. Thank you, Dara, for appearing on Tommy's Toolbox, the Leadership Edition. If you want to know more about how to properly position your business for a sale, you want to make sure to contact him. We're going to put all his information in the description below so that you can reach out the next time you're thinking about what does life look like in 5 to 10 years when I sell my business. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to hear the top level tips from CEOs and executives all around the Tampa Bay area.